Let's check the news. Nathan Cohns has our hourly update from the news studio.
Thank you very much, John, and good morning, everyone. A bill under consideration in the Iowa House would require schools to teach students the meaning of 10 national holidays. Constitution Day in September, Columbus Day in October, and Veterans Day in November are on the list, along with Bill of Rights Day in December and Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday in January. Republican Representative Brooke Bowden of Indianola says it's important to make celebrations of these holidays consistent from one school to another.
I think that we need to make sure that we are teaching our children to respect America and that they should know what each one of these holidays mean. It's not just something that's written on the calendar. It's not just something that's taken lightly.
The bill calls for social studies teachers in public schools to lead appropriate patriotic exercises to commemorate each of the holidays on the list, but the bill does not describe what those exercises should be. Representative Art Stade, a Democrat from Cedar Rapids, says it's worth teaching the meaning of these holidays, but the legislature does not need to pass a bill.
So this is just a superficial thing. I don't know who it pleases, but it's a problematic thing for our schools and curriculum.
The bill has cleared a House subcommittee and is eligible for a vote in the House Education Committee, along with another bill that would require students to stand and sing the national anthem each school day. Most of the Carroll County Board of Supervisors' attention will be on fiscal year 2025 budget preparations during their meeting this morning. The supervisors convene at 9 a.m. at the Conservation Education Center in Swan Lake State Park. They'll open their meeting with a report from County Engineer Zach Anderson concerning limestone quotes, as well as a review of the Secondary Roads Department's FY25 proposed budget. The supervisors will then consider a resolution to release the right-of-way on a stretch of Northwest Street in Carroll to the city, followed by the first reading of an amended ordinance adjusting room and board fees at the Carroll County Jail. Several other departments, including Carroll County Conservation, GIS, Home Care Aids, Public Health, and Environmental Health, will present their FY25 budget proposals. Other items on today's agenda include the GIS Planning and Zoning Quarterly Report, a change request for the Carroll County Courthouse HVAC and Interior Renovation Project, opioid funding, as well as manure management annual updates. The Monday, February 3rd meeting is open to the public, and a link to the agenda is included with this story on our website. And Carroll Police Department officers have a new tool to assist with training for various scenarios thanks to a new immersive system. City officials allocated $15,000 to the department in fiscal year 2024 to purchase the DART Simulation Trainer, which puts officers in interactive scenarios using a projector, response vest, and training pistol. Captain Ethan Cottle says it is a cost-effective way to introduce officers, whether they're brand new to law enforcement or veteran officers, to new scenarios.
You can get a lot of repetition on just dry fire skills, trigger pull, sight alignment, sight picture, without having to go out and expend rounds on the range. Everybody knows the cost of materials on anything is going up, and that includes ammunition. So by paying for the system up front, we're hoping that the amount of training we can get from this system will eventually, in the long run, pay itself off.
The system uses a laser-emitting pistol that tracks where a bullet would impact if firing a real gun. It projects a scenario onto a screen, from simple target practice and firing drills to realistic scenarios like traffic stops or domestic assault calls. Cottle says it prepares them for a wide range of interactions.
Can kind of see the way certain stops can progress into maybe more than just a traffic stop. Somebody jumps out of their car and it could just be that's them wanting to come talk to you, and they don't mean anything by it. Maybe stop them for a brake light. Well, oh yeah, you care if I hop out and take a look and you can show me where I'm at so I know which one to replace. But on the other hand, you might have somebody that is jumping out of the vehicle to distance themselves from maybe something that's inside their vehicle. Whatever the case may be, they're a little more on edge, and we can prepare ourselves mentally, think through some of that process before it happens to us on the street.
The DART system comes preloaded with dozens of scenarios, but Cottle says it also allows the department to design their own custom situations.
You can tailor that scenario to react the way you choose. So say I want the interaction to be very proper and cordial and everything's going fine, and then we can set it up and say it might be a mental health scenario where everything's going fine, and then I can choose the simulation to take a turn for maybe the worst, where okay, now they're becoming combative or verbally resistant to what you may be instructing them to do. You can really kind of play with that scenario scenario going multiple different ways, which adds value because as law enforcement, when we're out in the public, we don't necessarily know which way a certain situation is going to go.
The system can also incorporate photos from local locations, such as a parking lot, school, or bank, and it's portable for on-site training. The DART simulation trainer has only been operational for about a month now, but the department plans to incorporate it more frequently into its training regimen as officers become more familiar with its operation, as well as that scenario designer. And that is going to be wrapping up your KCIM 8 o'clock news. I'm Nathan Cones reporting.
It sounds like a lot of fun, kind of, but it's very serious for these police officers being able to train like that. It's got to be an incredibly helpful tool.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they're just still kind of getting their feet wet on it. So it's a neat system where, like when it's got a training pistol, right? So like it kind of projects a laser, and then the machine will track where you're at, and then it'll track where that shot would have potentially went. So the types of scenarios it can go through are like just preloaded. It's like if you're familiar with the term like shoot, no shoot situations, like one of them that they showed me was a guy gets out of his car and starts walking like pretty aggressively. His hands are in his pocket. It's just like a teenager that's really nervous, first time he's ever gotten pulled over. And he's the officer who's participating is like, I need your license and registration. He pulls his license out really fast. Like it's jumpy, right? Like it kind of stresses you. You don't realize how just a simple traffic stop can be that intense. So it's important. Captain Cottle was telling me it's like important to be in that scenario before it happens to you.
Yes.
And also if you're at a traffic stop, do not get out of your car. Don't do that. But beside the point. And then it gives an advance to all different types of things, right? And then after they're done, if it is like a target shooting type one, or you've got a criminal that you're firing at, it'll track your shots where you missed, and it is in-depth and very, very cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and the price tag, dirt cheap when you consider training and all of that stuff for officers and being able to customize everything. It's a really great tool, and you'd pay a much more trying to get any kind of that experience, in real life scenarios where you're using people. And it's really, really a cool thing. Great story.
One last thing on that. I want to give a shout out to Officer Nichols because he was the one who was kind of modeling for me. And so what he did, he has the little shock thing, the feedback thing. It's like a TENS unit. And he hadn't been shocked very much. He's like, let's put it on max. And he's like, oh, yeah, that hurts. So it does. It's very realistic. So thanks to Captain Cottle and Officer Nichols for showing that to me last week.
On a related note, I've had family members with dog shock collars. They put them on themselves and turned it on to see how much shock there was. So
much more intense than people realize.
Exactly. It gets your attention very quickly. All right, that's a look at what's happening with your news here this morning on KCIM. Let's get a look at the forecast. We'll do that in 2 minutes.